I want to create form using ShadCN UI, but I found right now the form component is not recommended way to build a form. As you can see, this form component, as you can see this card info right here, we are not actively developing this component anymore. The form component is an abstraction over the React Hook form library. Going forward, we recommend using field instead, right? So instead of using form component, the recommended way is using field component. And then the component to build form, see the form documentation for more information. So as you can see, if I click the form, now we can select a framework that we're going to use. So we can select React Hook form, 10-stack form, and also use action state. But the use action state for now, it's disabled. This is coming soon. So let's try to use the React Hook form right now, right? This is the example, as you can see. So we are going to learn together how to build form using this field component right here. Right, so let's try to just scroll down here and let's take a look. We have field group that wrapping the field set, right? But if I scroll down right here, inside in here, we have field set that wrapping field group. So what happened here? Let me try to see that again. Field group wrapping field set, and inside of field set, we also have field group. So what the difference right here? I just confused. So anyway, let's just try to create a new project, right? I'm going to open my iTerm terminal right here. And then let's just learn together, right? So I'm going to generate a project that names ShadCN from demo. I'm going to use Next.js in this video. So let's just select the recommended default. So this will be using TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind CSS, and so on. So let's cd to that folder, ShadCN from demo, and open that in VS Code. So what we have to do first is we are going to initialize the ShadCN, right? So we can do npm ShadCN or npx, I believe, npx ShadCN at lattice, and we can do init right here to initialize ShadCN. And then we're going to use the neutral is fine. And then here we go. I think we done, right? So that, as you can see here, we have the component.json file and then lib folder and etc. Right? So now let's try to install the UI component that we need. So we can do npx ShadCN at lattice, add field, input, button, and text area. So the field component is right here. As you can see, this field, the way we install it is we can say npx ShadCN at lattice, add field, right? So that's we doing right here. And then also I install the input component and button component and text area component, right? So let's just hit enter. All right, it's done. So now you can see the component folder right here. So we have UI folder, and inside that we have the button, field, input, label, separator, and text area, right? That's everything that we need right now. So let's try to run npm run dev. Let's start build the form. So I think it's better if I want to build out in the pages. So here I'm going to create another page. So I'm going to do form one like this, form-1, and then inside that I'm going to create page.tsx. Here we go. So we can say rfc, and then we can change that to page one like this. It's fine. So let's trying to access that page one. So here I'm going to go to localhost 3000/page one. Here we go. As you can see, it's nothing rendered right here. It's not page one, but form one. So let's trying to just typing that form-1, and as you can see here, we have the page one right here. Or I think I'm going to change the name to form one like this is fine. So anyway, I'm going to change this div into the main tag like this. And then I'm going to add class name right here. Class name is equals to display flex, minimal height to screen, the flex column, item center, and then etc. Right? The result should be like this. That means the form it should be in the center. And then next thing is I'm going to add the maximal width. So I'm going to do div right here that have this class name. So I'm going to paste this class name right here. The width is full, the maximal width is medium, have border, and then etc. And then inside that we have the heading too. So I'm going to put this title right here. And then let's just add a little bit styling for this heading too. I'm going to put that as a text XL, and then the font is semi-bold, and the text it should be on the center. So this is what we have, right? So the first form example that we are going to create is the field set outside the field group. That means the field set is wrapping the field group. So this is best for the one section form like a profile or comment. But if you have the multiple section form, it's better if you want to use this field group that wrapping couple field set inside that, right? So like this example right here, this is the payment method, and then we have separator, and then we have this billing address. So if you have multiple section like this, it's better if you using this field group, and then inside that you have field set, and then inside field set, of course, you have field group as well, right? We're going to create this one on the form 2. For now, just focus on form 1. This is best for one section form, right? So let's go back to the code right here. Let's try to create the form. So the way we create the form is we're going to use this field, right? So as you can see, first we have to, let me just scroll down in here. We have to render the field set, and then inside that render the field legend. This is basically like the title, and then field description. This is just the description, right? So let's do that in here. First, I'm going to render the field set like this. And then inside that, let's put the field legend and the field description. So anyway, I just want to copy and paste like this. So let's try to import the field legend and the field description. As you can see, this comes from the same file, which is UI/field. So let's save that. Let's take a look at the result. Here we go. So as you can see, we have this title and then also the description. So now let's create the form. So I think the things that I forget right now is the field set. It should be inside the form. So let's do that in here. The form tag, this is the normal HTML form tag. And then inside that, we have to put this field set basically like this, right? So now we need to render the input and text area. So basically I'm going to create the name for the input and then bio for the text area. So let's go back to documentation first. And as you can see, if we want to render the input or text area or etc, switch, etc, we have to wrapping that inside the field group, right? So that's why let's try to just render the field group in here like this. We have to import that. And then inside that, let's try to render the field, right? As you can see, this example right here. So I'm going to do that field like this. And then inside the field, basically we have the field label, I believe. Yeah, field label, right? I'm going to copy that for documentation and then just paste that like this. So this is for the name. And then if we want to create another field, just copy that field and then paste that like this. So this for the bio like this, and then I'm gonna change the text right here to bio. So let's try to see. As you can see, we have full name and then bio. For the full name, I'm gonna put this as an input, right? Like this. So save, and as you can see, we have this input, really nice. And also for the bio, I'm going to render the text area. So let's do text area like that. Save that, and here we go, right? Cool. So let's send some props in this input. So the ID is name and the placeholder, avail rabbit, and etc. Everything you want. And for the text area as well, I'm gonna put the ID and also the placeholder. So let's just paste that like this, right? And let's take a look at the result. Here we go. We have that placeholder. Super nice. So now let's add the button save. So here outside the field set component, but still inside the form tag, I'm gonna put this button right here that have type submit and text save, right? So I'm gonna save that. Let's take a look at the result. Here we go. So of course you can add some class name in here if you want, like the margin top to 4 and etc. So if I save that, it should be look like this. And anyway, maybe you want to add like another button in here, like this should be button, right? And then it should be, for example, reset, save that, and here we go, right? You can add space and etc. But in this example, as you can see, I think on the React hook form right here, we can wrap the button inside the field that have orientation props, right? This is also pretty cool. So let's go back in here and then we can just wrapping that inside a field component like this. So just put the button inside the field like that. And now as you can see, the result, it should be look like this, right? So let's just remove the class name here. We don't need that now. And here we go. As you can see, we have this space, and then the button is stretched full width automatically, because by default, I think the field orientation, it should be vertical, right? That's the default value. But anyway, of course, we can change that to something else, like let me just try to send orientation. And then as you can see, the value is horizontal, responsive, and vertical. So let's do horizontal, for example. This is what we have, right? We can add the class name here, like a margin top 2. Here we go, right? I think we can do like vertical if you want. Here we go, right? You get the idea, but I believe here it should be margin top 4. And I think it's fine right now, right? Cool. Of course, you can add this variant to like maybe ghost or outline, whatever you want, right? Save that, and here we go. So that's it. It's really simple to create form using ShadCN UI with this field component. But anyway, let's try to create the field 2 right now. This is for the multiple section form. So I'm going to copy that, right? Just copy entire field 1 page. And then I'm going to change that to field 2 like this. I'm going to say yes. Let's open the field 2, save that. And what is this? I'm not sure. So let's try to just go to the field form 2. And as you can see, we have the same thing right now. So first, let's change the component to form 2. And then here for the heading 2, I'm going to change that to field group containing multiple field sets, right? And then as you can see, this one right here, I'm going to just trying to remove everything, right? And then yeah, just remove that, it's fine. And in here we have to put field group first, field group like this. And then inside the field group, basically we have multiple field set like this, field set, right? And then of course I'm going to put like the field set label, and then what the name, I just forgot that. Inside the field set, we have the field legend and then field description, right? So I'm going to paste that right here. The field legend is account. The field description is login details. And also I'm going to create another field set down here. And this is for the personal info and then displaying on your profile. So I think I just want to copy and just paste that like this, right? And then let's save and take a look. Here we go, that we have, right? We have the account and personal info. So anyway, I also want to add separator in here. So let's do field separator. Here we go. So we have this separator right here, pretty nice. And of course, just like we're doing on the form 1 right here, inside the field set, we have field group, and inside that we have field. Of course, we can do that as well right here, right? Just paste that. Here we go. We have this field group that have field and then field label. This is for the email, right? Input, and then this for the password. So let's take a look. Here we go. We have email and password. For the personal info, we can do that as well right here. So let's just try to paste that. As you can see, field group that have field. For now, it's just one field, which is the nickname. So let's try to see. Here we go. And then let's try to add the button save right here. It's basically outside the field group, but still inside the form tag. I'm gonna put this field that have orientation horizontal, and this is the button, right? Here we go. That's it. That's the difference. So I think it's not really important, but I think it's fine to know what the difference between these two form, right? So now let's try to implement the React hook form validation and etc. But I'm gonna go first for the form 1. Here we go. And anyway, here first we have to install the React hook form. So we can do npm install React hook form. We need to use Zod as well, and then add hook form /resolver. So let's try to hit enter. Great, is done. So we can run again, npm run dev. So the first thing is we need to create the form schema, right? So let's go back to the form 1, and then on the top right here, I'm going to create the form schema. So here I'm going to create the form schema set equals to z. Z is basically come from the Zod, right? Right here. And then I'm going to say z.object. For the name, I'm going to make sure z dot string, and the have minimal value is 2, and then this the error, right? Full name must be at least 2 character, and then for the bio it should be also string and have minimal value is 10, and then the error is this one right here. Bio must be at least 10 characters. Great. After we create the form schema, so next inside the form1 component, I'm going to create variable called form. So we can do const form set equals to. Here I'm going to run use form. So use form is basically function from the React hook form. So we can just import that like this, right? And then what we have to do in here is I'm going to put an object. So here I'm going to say resolver, right? The resolver, it should be the Zod resolver. And then we paste the form schema right here. Form schema, right? Just like that. And then also I'm going to put the default value. So this is basically the default value for the name and bio. So here I'm going to put an object, and for the name, of course, it should be empty string. And for the bio, again, it should be also empty string. But again, in here, you can create a type. So I'm going to create that on the top right here. Type call form value set equals to z.infer type of form schema. And you can use this type inside the use form, basically, just like this. Here we go, right? You can do that. So now we can create a function like onSubmit, for example. So let's do that function call onSubmit, right? This is just a function that console log the data. So the data should become from the parameter right here, right? Data, and then this data it should be have type form values. So we can do form values like this, come from this type anyway. So as you can see, if I do like a data dot, we have this bio and name, right? That's pretty cool. Great. So now it's not use, right, for now, because we have to putting that on the form tag right here. So we can do like onSubmit so equals to, we can do form dot handle submit like this, and then we can have to run the onSubmit function like that. So now if you go back right here, what happened? We have this error. The reason is because use form doesn't exist in target module. What happening? So I think the problem is because this component is server component by default. Of course, we have to change that because we're using hooks right here and also the onSubmit, right? So we can do use client, save that, and here we go. Everything is running. So first, let's working with the name input field. So here I'm going to make a comment called full name. And then before we render the field, we have to running controller basically in here. So let's do controller, right? This comes from the React hook form. And then this basically self-closing tag. And inside the controller, I'm going to say name. So the name, it should be same like you put in here, right? I'm going to put name set equals to name. And then for the control, I'm going to put the form dot control like this. And also this controller, it should be render a function in here. So now we can just put that field inside this render, this field right here. So I'm going to cut that out and just paste that inside the render. And then inside this arrow function, we can grab the field and field state. So let's grab that field and also the field state like this. So now what we have to do is pretty simple. Just put the field inside this input and that's it. So let's take a look now. I'm going to refresh that. Just make sure everything is clean, right? I'm going to typing something in here, click save. Nothing really happening right now. I'm not sure what happened. So let's try to click this arrow right here. This hydration error, I think is fine. As you can see, if I refresh that, it's just gone. If I click save, nothing happened. So I think the problem is because we're not yet wrapping the bio with the controller. So let's try to do that first, right? This should be bio. And then here we can just render the controller, right? This should be self-closing tag, and we can put the name. Name, it should be bio. And then we can put control set equals to form.control. And then we can just render that field. So we can do render. And then this should be render arrow function like this. right? And now we can just put that field inside the render. Here we go. So we can grab the field and also the field set inside these props right here. Grab that field and field state. And then now we can just put that field inside the text area. So we can do 3 dot and then put the field like this. Great. So now it's done. Let's take a look. I'm going to just click save. As you can see now, if I click save, it should be focused on that input. That means the input is required, right? As you can see, here we go. So now let's do that. John Doe, and then for the bio, I am front end developer, right? So let's click save, and as you can see, we have data here because we just console log the string data. So let's try to just console log the data itself. So I'm gonna click save, and here we go, right? We have the name, we have the bio. Pretty nice. It works basically. So how we can render the error? It's pretty simple. We can grab the error from this field state basically. So now let's go to the name, and then still inside of field, I'm going to render this field state.invalid. If this is true, it should be render the field error component. And then I just paste the error here, right? Field state.error. And also let's try to just copy that, go to bio, and still inside of field, I'm going to paste that as well like this. Great. So now let's try. Here I'm going to just remove the value, and as you can see, we just see the error. That's pretty cool. If I just refresh that, right, refresh it, and then if I click save, as you can see, we have the full name must be at least 2 characters and etc. But the input field is not red. The reason is because we not put that invalid on the input right here. So we have to putting that as well. It's called area invalid. So let's just paste that on that input right here. As you can see, area invalid set equals to field state.invalid. And now as you can see, the input is have a red color. But as you can see, the label here is not red. So of course you can go to the field right here, right? The field that wrapping all the field label, the input and field error. You can go that component and then paste the data invalid into the field state.invalid. So now you can see the label is red color. That's nice. I'm just wondering if I just comment this one, what happened? As you can see, it's still not red color. Yep. Yeah. Cool. So now we have to do that same thing on the bio. So let's go back right here on the field, paste that, and also copy this area invalid as well on the text area like this. And now everything is red color, right? The validation is just works really simple. So let's try to click save, and here we go. So the reset button is not yet working. So let's try to go to reset, and what we have to do in here is let's try to run on click event, and then in here we can just running arrow function and then just run form.reset, I believe. Just run that function, and then now if I click reset, as you can see, every value is just gone. There we go. That's nice. So anyway, this is also working on the form too. If you want to do that as well in here, it's pretty simple. First you have to create the form schema, right? So let's go back in here. We need to create the form schema. I'm going to paste that like this. As you can see, we have the form schema set equals to z. So it's basically come from the zot.object. And then for the email, I'm going to make sure this should be have type email, but we have this error. I think now the newest version of zot, it should be like z.email. As you can see now, there's no error. Cool. We have this email, should be have type email, and password should be have minimal 6 character. And then for the nickname is basically require, and the minimal value is 2, right? And then we have this type form value, infer type of form schema. Great. Next, we have to create this form right here. So I think let's just copy everything and just paste that. Here we go. So of course we have to import the use form and then sort resolver. And then here we have to create the email, the password, and then the nickname. Here we go, right? Everything is just empty string. And also we have this function on submit. Now let's put that on the form, the on submit. So I think we can just copy and paste this, right? Just copy that. and then paste that on the form like this. And then next thing is we have to create the controllers, right, to wrapping all these fields basically. So let's do that. I think I'm gonna go back and then just trying to just copy this controller, right? Just copy everything and then just paste that right here. First, I just want to cut this data invalid. I'm going to put this field right on that input, and then this area invalid, I'm going to cut that out and go to the input. And also next thing is the error, so let's just cut that out and then just render that still inside the field basically. Here we go. So now what we have to do is just cut all this field. I hope you're not confused what happened in here. So let's just render that on that field. Here we go. So for the name, I'm going to change that to email. Now we can just copy everything here and then just paste that into this another field. So paste that right here. This for the password basically. So let's do password, and then for the field label, I'm gonna copy from this password here. All right, just paste that. And then now for this input, I think just copy every input in here, just everything, paste that like that. And of course we have to put the field, right? The field and also this area invalid. Copy and just paste that like this. Just remove the email on the top, and we're done for the email and password basically. Also we have to remove this one right here. Here we go. Great. So let's go back in here. We can go back to form 2, and then as you can see, yep, we have to change this component to the client component basically. So we can do that, use client, save, and here we go, right? Cool. So now let's working with the personal info down here. Again, we can just copy and paste basically. So I'm gonna copy and paste like this, not that one, but all the controller, or I think we can just typing from scratch. So we can do like controller, self-closing tag, and the name it should be nickname, right? Nickname, and also the control, it should be form.control, and also the render, it should be render arrow function like this. And then I want to put the field inside that. Here we go. And then here we can grab the field and also the field state like this. I think just copy that and then just paste that on that field. Here we go. Great. So now we have to put that field on the input, 3 dot, and then field like this. And then we have to also put the area invalid, copy that, and then paste that here. And then the last thing is the error message. Copy that and paste that here. Right, still inside the field basically. Okay, I think everything is done, right? Go back here, and then I'm going to make sure that everything is clean before I submit that. Let's click submit. As you can see, everything is red. That means the validation is working. Great job. So now, as you can see, email is invalid. I can do add mail.com. Now is valid. For the password, here we go. Nickname, here we go. If I submit, we have the value on the console, right? That's working pretty nice. If I remove that nickname, as you can see, nickname is required. So that means we cannot submit. And if I click submit right now without give any nickname, as you can see, the nickname is active, right? That's pretty cool. So that's all you need to know about the form and validation and etc. using the React hook form. So maybe next, let's working with the 10 stack form, right? Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you on that 10 stack form.